Alright, so I wanted to give my first impressions on the NightHawk Pro 280. Got this for Christmas, came in literally the day after Christmas. Went to hook it up, could not get the USB connector on this to recognize on my PC through BaseFlight or CleanFlight. I downloaded the drivers, I followed everything in the instructions. I tried it with Windows 7, with Windows 8, a desktop, a notebook, and just could not get it to communicate. I actually put in a ticket with the company. Have not heard back from them yet, so it was a little bit frustrating. Previously had been flying the Spec 250, which also connects USB. It uses a mini USB instead of the micro USB that this uses. Again, I also tried the cables that came with it in the box. They give you a short cable, but I went ahead and used one that I also have used with other devices and just could not get the NightHawk to recognize on any of my PCs. So I brought it into the office, hooked it up to my Mac. I still had to go download the driver before it would recognize, but once I plugged this in on my Mac with the driver loaded, it detected right away. BaseFlight came up. I was able to configure it. Lots of good videos on YouTube for how to configure it. You can see I'm running with an orange RX receiver. So really all I had to do was strap a battery to it, hook up the orange RX in PPM mode, and put the props on it. That really is the only thing that's not done. Comes with camera pre-mounted. Everything's on the board, so all your speed controllers are actually built right into the board here. Your flight controller is built into the board. You can see there's some additional outlets here, and one of this, I think this one is for a buzzer, for a low battery buzzer. This one, I believe, is for GPS. There also is, there are some switches on there that control, for example, the FPV transmitter is a 200 milliwatt transmitter, but you can switch it between 20 and 200 milliwatts with this little switch on the side here. The idea being you don't ever want to transmit with any more than absolutely necessary, kind of an FCC requirement. The one thing that impressed me the most about this particular quad, I saw somebody else who had one, I decided I had to have it, is this monstrous Millennium Falcon grade light bar on the back. Just makes it so easy to see the orientation. Again, with my Spec, I really like my Spec. Flying it in FPV mode is great, but when you try to fly it more than about 100 feet away, it is so easy to lose orientation flying third person. Again, if you're flying FPV, it's absolutely fine. I could never get this as stable as what the NightHawk does. I'm still working on my PID tuning on this. I've watched a lot of videos, I'm reading up on it, and I just haven't been able to quite get the tuning to where I really want it. But it behaves well, and it's a decent flyer. It's just not rock solid. Went outside, got my first test flight in today. Super stable. The wind is blowing outside. It has been terrible, lots of rainstorms all week long, and this thing just rock solid out there in the wind. You know, just tilt it forward a little bit and it would hover, and the wind would come along and you know, blow it forward or backwards, but it would not lose angle. Just constantly stayed level and stable. And the weight on this, as compared to the Spec, it probably weighs about twice as much. The Spec is a very lightweight. It's not carbon fiber. It's basically just a nylon frame, but the motors are substantially smaller. So if you put these two motors, let's see, side by side here, so you can actually get some reference, you can see the Spec is literally maybe 2/3 the size of the motor. So much bigger motors on the NightHawk, probably going to be much faster. The NightHawk comes with a CCD camera. I still have a CMOS hooked up to my Spec. Quick tip, don't use CMOS for flying FPV. It does lag, and you may not notice it at first, but as you start to get sportier, it's going to really drag you down. The CCD is much more responsive. So we're working on getting this replaced. I have some cameras on order and going to go ahead and get this tuned up. Other than that, I've been flying with the Spectrum DX7S. Like I said, using the Orange RX receiver, perfectly happy with the DSMX interface, and the PPM interface is working just fine. So we'll get some video footage next, and look forward to sharing with you guys some of the sportiness of what this can offer.